Hey guys, welcome to the Ice Hockey Aussies Power Rankings Week 7. Will we see a new number one this week? Who knows? Stick around to find out. But with pick 32 this week, it's me kicking things off. And I've got no movement with the Anaheim Ducks.
Yeah, it's hard to have any movement for them. I think it's a solid 32, and it has been for a while. There's not too much more to
Yeah,
say on that, really.
good chance they stay there all year, to be honest.
I think it's
But
good. It's a good season that'd be bad. So
exactly. We've said it all year. If you were going to be bad one season, it may as well be this season. You
mm.
add Connor Bedard to that, you know, already young, talented lineup, and it could be a quick bounce back for them.
Alrighty,
But yeah,
pick 31 for me. I have a team moving down one position that I'm not high on, but everyone else is, and that is the San Jose Sharks.
yeah, I understand your hatred for them, frustration, I guess, but
I don't
I
hate
just
the
can't
team. I
have them
actually,
that
I
low.
actually really like the team in general. I just don't like what I see on the ice. And I can understand how you can have other teams around them down there, but I've just had them there for that long that it's kind of just stuck in glue for 31 at the moment.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of these teams can be pretty easily interchangeable. But for me, they're just doing a little bit more than a couple of those teams below them.
Yeah, I can see that, but yeah, that's my gripe with them anyway. Anyway, onto your 31.
My 31, I've got not moving anywhere. Again, they got the win today against the Rangers, but it's the Chicago Blackhawks. It ended their 8-game losing streak, but
Yeah,
yeah,
they moved down
they're
two
just
for
not doing
me,
it for me.
down to 30. Just I can't have them above below San Jose at the moment, but I can definitely see them next week going down there if they continue. But it was a good win today
Yeah, it's not
against New
looking.
York, which is sad for New York, but it says more
Well,
about
I
them.
was about to say, I don't know if it says, Chicago, if it's good for Chicago, like, hey, maybe we're turning the corner after 8 straight losses and two in their last 16, two wins in the last 16, or if it's just, you know, just says a lot about what New York are putting up at the moment. Um, but yeah,
Alrighty. Your pick, Emily? Oh, my pick.
it's your pick, my friend.
My pick. Okay, 29 for me. Another team that's been pretty horrible. It doesn't move, but Philadelphia. They have been playing
Yeah,
a little bit better, um, dominating the game against New Jersey. But when you dominate and you still don't get the win, it says more about you than the other team, I think. So
yeah, exactly. They played well. They were the better team. Probably did deserve to at least take a point out of that game. Um, for the effort they did put in. But again, that what even playing well in one game doesn't really um, change too much with them
mm.
either because they're
but
1-12 in their last 13.
yeah.
Like they
Well,
have
they
not
did
been
beat a
playing
good
well.
team in the Islanders. I'll give them that. And then they go
Yeah,
and play that game against New Jersey. So it could have been turning the tide. But and they did come up against a good goalie in Akira Schmid, even though he is New Jersey's third string, probably second string now. But yeah, I need to see more. Uh,
yes, exactly. Like after their massive 10-game losing streak and the you know what they've been putting up lately, two good games isn't enough to sort of rise them up the rankings for me. But moving on, pick 28 for me is a team moving up a couple of spots for myself. Put in some good performances against some tough opponents. It's the Columbus Blue Jackets.
oh, yeah, I've got him in the same spot, moving up a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to move on them too soon. I moved them up a couple of spots, but I didn't want to move them up too much further. They are playing good hockey, but yeah, I want to see it a bit more consistently to get them up those rankings.
Yeah, I couldn't have them above anybody else, but they definitely earned moving up from their 2 games this week. And it's not hard to pass the Flyers and Blackhawks. And I did have them below San Jose, so yeah, it's not hard to pass those teams.
Yeah, fair.
All right,
All right, your pick 27.
27. I have a team that's dropped off just a little bit, but it's the Arizona Coyotes.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Exactly the same spot. Um,
Yeah,
they've just
they're just
yeah.
fallen off the wagon a little bit. They're still competing, which I like to
Yes.
see. I underrated team for what on paper what they're putting on the ice, and they're kind of falling into realism of where they should be, and they probably do want to tank harder. The players don't, coaches don't, but yeah, it's a little fall from grace for the little good run they had.
Yeah, I mean they've won one game in their last nine, but as you said, they're competitive, they're competing. It's exactly what you want to see from them, though. I feel like you want to see that compete level. You want to see the younger players developing, putting in some good shifts, doing the right things, but then still getting those losses to sort of drive you down the ladder, put you in that contention for Connor Bedard. I think it's all coming together pretty well for the Coyotes. They were never expected to be anything, but some of the development from their young kids or their players around that, 23 to 28 mark are looking pretty good. So I don't think it's all doom and gloom for them at the moment for sure.
Mm.
Um,
It's actually quite amazing. Chikrin hasn't been sold yet either. I think a few teams. I guess the asking price is a bit high for him in the moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Arizona also just want to get a couple of games under his belt to sort of say, hey, look, this guy can still play hockey. So we're not just going to give him away for nothing because he does have 3 years on his contract. Um, which I think smart by Arizona. They need to get
Mm.
as much for him as possible. He's got 4 points in 6 games, so yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. But
Alrighty,
moving on
you're
to pick
26.
26. Yeah. Um, at 26, moving down a few spots after they had a pretty good week or two there. But they sort of fell off the wagon a bit this week. Vancouver Canucks.
Oh wow, that's exactly where I have them too.
Oh, it's shaping up pretty evenly here so far.
Yeah, I just seem to be a little bit harsher on San Jose. That's about it. Um, yeah. What do you
Yeah.
say? Like, they get 2 wins this week, but they're OT wins against Arizona and San Jose, and that's what's worrying. Um, San Jose outplayed them. Then they lose to Capitals in Florida 5-1. And honestly, those are teams they should be competing with as well.
Yeah.
So, worrying signs for Vancouver. And
Yeah, that's where I sort of lost a little bit with them was the lack of compete against Washington and Florida. I get Florida are a power, like they're a very powerful team, but they haven't exactly been at their best lately either. Um, and they're probably games that Vancouver would look back on and go, "Oh, if we were just at least in that game, it would make things a lot better." But to get absolutely blown out is, yeah, it's disappointing.
yeah, 100%. And they've got like Brock Besser is -11 on 5-on-5 in points, which is a little bit worrying. I just thought I'd point that one out there. Um, Alrighty, on to the next one, 25. I've got a team. They moved up a couple positions. They're sort of bouncing back. It's Ottawa Senators.
Oof. I wonder how long we can keep this streak going for.
It's
That
it's definitely
that's
going to change. I know that, but
it's 4 in a row, mate. 4 in a row, exactly the same.
yeah, we definitely
Um,
they're all different last week by the looks, but they're lining up this week. Yeah, they're bouncing back. It seems they're getting the results compared to what they should have been. Beating San Jose today, uh, going to OT against the Rangers, losing against the Rangers the game before, and then OT against LA. OT win. So at least they're competing. 1-3 out of 4. It's hard to push that down, but they weren't really big rival teams. I don't consider LA that great as much anymore. They seem to be on the downslide. So
And New York, even though they should be classified as sort of a powerhouse top 10 team, they're not performing like it at the moment.
no,
I
there's
guess
something wrong there.
the proof's in the pudding with that is game 1, Shusterkin. Game 2, Halak.
Mm.
I don't actually know if that's how it went. I should probably check that out, but
I
it
was
would just be
w-
funny if that's how it went.
we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the Rangers, but it's actually having a look at those the goalie stats there. But in regards to Ottawa, they just winning the games they should, and that's what they've done this week.
And that's it. And that's all you've asked for them. And we've said for weeks, I think, that the only thing going wrong for Ottawa is the results. Their hockey that they're playing is pretty reasonable. Um, they're just not getting the results. Funny story. I was correct about Halak and Shesterkin. It was just the other way around. Shesterkin lost and Halak won. That was Halak's first win for the year. But anyway, getting
Alrighty,
off of the
you're
Rangers, we'll
24.
go my 24. Okay, so in 24, moving up a couple of positions as well. I suspect these guys are going to move up a bit more throughout the year as they get players back. Um, but yeah, it's the Washington Capitals.
All right. It's not where I have him. I have him a little bit higher actually. I have him at 22.
Yeah, I think they sort of fell after today's loss a little bit. I think I had them
You had
ahead
him. You
of
had him a lot
a
lower
couple of
last
others.
week than I did. 26 to my
Yeah,
23.
they've sort of been dragging their way back up after I dropped them all the way down to I think 29th a few weeks ago. But yeah, like they lose today um to Calgary 5-2, but you know, they had a reasonable game against the Kraken. Took it to OT and just lost, and then they beat Vancouver 5-1. So it's not a bad week for them. They went 500 for the week.
But they're
But
also
yeah,
competing very well on ice. So I've realized the last probably 4 or 5 so games, their compete level is very high on the ice, which is
yeah,
it's,
I don't think their compete level ever left them. To be honest, I think it was just they had um they just had far too many injuries. They were playing with call up and AHL players, which you do have to do from time to time throughout a season. But they had a significant
yeah,
injury list for a bit there, and they still do. But TJ Oshie came back into the lineup, and they've looked a lot better
yeah.
with
I,
him
I
in.
I reckon they're
So
on the rise now. They'll probably just keep climbing every week now. But
yeah,
onto my 24, I have team that's moved up a couple positions from last week for me. It's the Buffalo Sabres.
I'm just ahead of you there. Just got them one higher.
Yeah. I like what they're doing. I like watching their game. It's fun. The problem is they're just conceding too many goals. I think they conceded 5 goals twice, then one 6 goal game. It's
Yeah,
just
they conceded 16 for the week, 6 goals twice.
yeah. So it's rough. You can't do that. But they've been playing exciting hockey. Going forward and transitioning. It's just whatever's lacking there defensively, either forwards not back checking, or just errors, just turnovers. But that seems to be what's holding them back at the moment.
Yeah. I said it a few weeks ago. I think Buffalo are in a similar position to the Devils probably last year, where they played some really good offensive games, but they were lacking in terms of goaltenders and their defense. Defensive structure just struggled. So I think, you know, they could take a lesson from the Devils in the sense of Get some stable defensive defensemen into that lineup, that you can pair with the likes of Ramos Darlene and Owen Power. And honestly, it'll probably fix a lot of their problems.
Mm.
And
Well,
yeah,
well, Craig Anderson's been good for him, but they're just getting nothing from their backups. That's been the issue there. Alrighty, your pick.
on to pick 22 for me. Um, it's they fall in a position, but I really couldn't make too much of what they're doing or what's happening. It's kind of been like that all year for them. They're just up and down, and yeah, it's the Montreal Canadiens. I don't know what else to say about them, to be honest.
Yeah, had him a little bit higher last week, 19. I actually only have him moving again 1 to 20, so that's where I've got my Montreal.
Yeah, I like some of what they're doing, but at the same time, they seem to pull off a good win like they did against Calgary, but then they get absolutely belted by San Jose Sharks. They were in the game against Edmonton today, but overall, Edmonton just out firepowered them basically. Yeah, I've had them teetering around that 19 to 23 position all year, and I don't think they're going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think they're almost like a one line that's carrying. The Suzuki line. That's basically all they've got, and that's kind of
They,
where they're at. That's what. Yeah,
they weren't
that's my problem.
expected to be anything.
Oh no,
Like
they
that's the
weren't.
thing.
They're over. They're doing better than what they were expected to do, which is probably not good for them, honestly. Um,
No,
but
exactly right.
yeah, they've just got one
Yeah.
line at the moment, and that's my issue with them. Already.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately that's going to carry them into a position that's too far away to for that race for Connor Bedard. Like
Mm.
I feel like that 20 to 24 is probably where they're going to teeter all year, and that's just going to be too far out of the race for Bedard. But oh well, they've got a lot of young talented players anyway, so
Mm.
their rebuild's not looking terrible.
All right, now I've got a team dropping a fair bit. You'll probably be surprised by where I have them. It's 23rd, the St. Louis Blues.
Wow. All right.
Yes.
I thought it could have been another team. They did drop a lot for me as well. Um, I wasn't sure if it was this team or the team that I had at 21 that you were going to say there, but yeah, I've got them at 20. I
Yeah.
can see your point though. They have been an absolute yo-yo of a team.
Yeah, and that's my problem. Like, sure, they had a tough schedule this week with Dallas, Carolina, and Penguins, but they come out with no wins, no points. Statistically, like, they're negative 21 on goal differential over the season, 5-5 in the last 10, but they lost the last three, obviously the hard ones. I just Yeah, I can't rate. I just don't can't rate them. It's just too much yo-yo going on.
They're a very hard team to sort of understand where they're going. I think everyone sort of thought that they were back on track with that 8 game winning streak, but then they jumped straight back into what should technically be a 6 game losing streak now, but they happened to pull themselves out of the gutter against Florida a few games back. Um, it's now a 3 game losing streak. Uh, but yeah, it's just I don't know where this team's going. They seem to just be streaky. If they get a win, they'll go on a winning streak. If they lose, then they're gonna lose 3 or 4 games straight. Um, and yeah, I don't think they would be liking what they're seeing at the moment. But I
No,
don't know how you turn that around.
yeah, I'm not too sure what they need to add to that team. Like Bennington's are like 0.899 save percentage, Grice 0.903, like very average numbers. But it's the defense that's happening in front of them that's causing that, honestly. And I don't know if it's player movements, coaches, or whatever, but I feel like there needs to be a change there because the team should be performing way better than where it is.
100%, I agree. All right, moving on to my pick 21. Uh, oh, I'd be very interested to see if this is your pick 21, but they've just been on a massive slide, and today's game made it even worse, and I just couldn't help it. I had to drop them. It's the New York Rangers. I did not think I would see them outside the top 16, let alone into the top uh, bottom,
Bottom
what,
20.
12? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
We had them same position. They moved down four for each. Yeah, I had struggled to have them at 21. It's rough. They're on a downslide. Honestly, they could go even further down if they keep continuing this. They're
Yeah,
definitely not.
I mean, I teetered on dropping them below Montreal, because I was like,
Yeah.
Montreal haven't done anything wrong to
I
go
got them. I
down,
got
but
Montreal above, but obviously they're a little bit different positions. But
yeah.
but yeah, it's just I don't know what do you say. Like that we were talking about the goalies in regards to. I was actually having a look at their goaltending stats, like in-depth stats, and and
Yeah.
honestly, it's like we laugh at Halak, but you look at the stats and they're not much different to Shesterkin's, honestly. Besides the overall save percentage, but all the other stats, they're kind of in line, um, a little bit, which is kind of interesting. And I thought so. I like if the very interesting stat that I was looking at was goals against and expected goals against.
Yeah.
Basically, Igor is saving more saves, better saves than he should be, and Halak's doing exactly what is expected, and is where Shesterkin's numbers are expected to be. So it just seems Halak's
Yeah.
playing where the team is at, and Shesterkin's doing a little bit better than
So,
where it should
so
be.
it's not really on Halak, it's
Nah,
more
it's
on
what's
their
happening in
defense.
front of him,
Yeah.
which I found very
Yeah.
interesting.
And that's sad, but it also shows you how much, because I'd be interested if you looked into last year, right? Because I think we all know Shesterkin sort of carried them
Yeah.
quite far last year. Um, which he is doing similar things this year again, because he is a fantastic goaltender. But yeah, the question is what's their defense in front of them doing? And if you're leaving someone like Halak, who's not going to make the save Shesterkin's making, out to dry, then it's just gonna happen. Um, the hardest thing for me is if your defense is gonna do that, with someone like any backup goaltender really, like if you hang your goaltender out to dry like they have been doing, um, any backup goaltender is gonna put up these numbers.
Mm,
So yeah, and the problem with this is if they keep playing like this in front of Halak, they're going to struggle to make playoffs because Shesterkin, unless he plays 60 plus games, and gets them 40 plus wins, um, they're not going to get enough out of Halak to make playoffs.
yeah, I agree. All right. On to my 19. I've got the Calgary Flames.
Right back at it. Calgary Flames, pick 19. Love it.
Yeah, they move up a couple positions. They don't move for you. Yeah, it's just kind of where they're at the moment, isn't it? It's just mid-table, just outside the top 16, if you can call it that, because as we've said last week, we don't feel like some of the teams in the 16 are a top 16, but
Yeah.
they're somewhat putting it together. I feel like from what I'm seeing on the ice, it's just needs to correlate into more and more wins, honestly, for me.
Yeah, Huberdeau's sort of started turning
Yeah,
up the last few games, which is helpful. I feel like their success this year is going to rest a lot on his shoulders. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think after the start they had, everyone thought, "Oh, this team's really going," but I think they've fallen back to probably where they belong.
yeah.
Um,
The
I
big
think they're
issue was
definitely a
that
playoff team.
yeah, the big issue was the
But yeah,
Montreal game. Like you shoot 46 shots, 19 against, and you lose.
and you lose.
That's rough. That yeah,
But that's hockey. If you don't get the results, if you don't put the good, and this is the other thing, right? Like if you don't put the shots on net in dangerous spots, or you're just taking shots on net from, the side where the goalie's got full vision, like, and there's no screens. You're not putting difficult shots on the goaltender. 47 shots could end up in a shutout.
mm,
Um, we saw that in a few of the Devils games where they put up dangerous chances. Don't get me wrong, but they put up like 48 shots, and some of them were probably just them shooting at the net. I've seen Flames, Florida, I've seen Carolina do it as well,
yep,
where they're just trying to get shots to the net.
yep.
And, that's okay sometimes because you want to put some pressure on. But if you don't get any dangerous shots, you're going to put up 45 and score one goal. Um, and that's, yeah, probably a little bit of what's happened there.
Alrighty, your pick.
All right, pick 18. Dropping a few positions. I don't know. I think they finally come back down to planet Earth. But yeah, it's the LA Kings.
Yeah, that's where I've got them too. This is where I start teetering around with both -5. Basically, from 13 to 18, I was just yo-yoing all the positions. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, LA's kind of hit where you feel like they've been playing, and now they're just not getting the results that they were earlier. And it, I don't know what you call it, a shocker against Seattle. An 8-9 scoreline. Like both teams just had a shocker, and then
there was no defense played that day.
yeah, there was nothing played that day. Nothing, no goalies were in that. It was, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
it it is cracking. They get a point from it. They do get an OT loss against Ottawa. That's a game they should be winning, and then they go and lose in regulation today. They did give a little bit of a fight back, but not enough against Carolina.
yeah,
And I just think they've kind of hit reality now.
yeah. Exactly. They've only won 3 of their last 10 games. I felt like they were overachieving. Not to mention they had played a lot more games than a few teams as well, which made them look a lot higher in the rankings and where they probably should have been. But yeah, they're definitely coming back down to planet Earth now. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
All right. On to your pick 17.
Yeah, pick 17. Just outside of the top 16. I kind of flip flopped on which team I wanted out here. It's the Florida Panthers for me.
See, this is where we start to sort of probably differ a little bit. It's difficult, as you mentioned.
Mm,
Um, that probably from 13 to 18, 19. It's really the teams that are teetering on the edge of playoff spots or just inside playoff spots, but probably aren't playing their best hockey at the same time.
yeah,
I don't think Florida are at their best, but I just had to have them above a couple of the teams below.
I think statistically, like their players are like their plus minus, their 5-on-5 play is way better than where they are in the rankings. Um, and I think that's good signs. It means like once they put those small pieces together, they should be up in the top 10. My issue is the loss against Calgary. It was kind of interesting to see the traded players play against each other and see what was going on there. But and then they get a win against Vancouver. You expected to get that. They OT lose against Edmonton this week as well. I guess the big thing that pushes them up in your eyes is the Kraken game, and 100% understand that. It's just I need to see more. The OT against Edmonton is a little bit rough. I feel like they should be winning that if they're going to be in the around 13 where you have them.
Yeah, look, I definitely agree. I've been looking for an excuse to kick him out the 16 for a while. I just thought, yeah, their win today was good. Looked good. They looked good. As you touched on, their 5-on-5 play has, been really good. Um, I think that they're much better of a team than where they currently sit. They just need to put it together. Um, and yeah, we'll see if they can do that in the coming weeks. But moving on to my pick 17. Um, I didn't feel right doing this to them, but they've been up and down all year. I think I said this to you before. They win 2 games, they lose 2 games. They win 3 games, they lose 3 games. They win 4 games, they lose 4 games. It's been crazy of a season for them. And they're on a 3-game losing streak. It's the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, I have it number 15, still in my top 16 at the moment. Moving down 3 for me, 5 for you. Completely understand why the big move. 0-3 this week. I get it. They only get 1 point from the shootout loss against Sabres. But they did come up against Vegas and Toronto, which they probably not expected to win.
Yeah, I just I don't know. I feel like I expected to see more from them against Vegas today as well. Um, but yeah, look, I still think that they're a reasonably good team. They're just very streaky, similar to St. Louis, I guess. If they win a game, they'll win a few in a row. If they lose one, they'll lose a few in a row. Um, I just I want to see them break that habit. And start to, if they lose a game, bounce back the next game. Or if they lose two, don't make it a 3-game losing streak. But yeah.
Alrighty. On to my 16. Team I definitely want out is the Edmonton Oilers. They don't move for
Yeah,
me
no,
even.
yeah. It's so bad.
Yeah,
There's so many reasons to kick them out.
it's like they go 3-1 this week. They lose, and the game was on a back-to-back. And they do get an OT win against Florida, which kind of sums where those teams are at. But I can't rate them when it's just Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and it's not even they're winning 5-on-5. It's literally just special teams. Like half their points are on the power play. You'll look at the statistics of their plus minuses on 5-on-5, and their highest is Yamamoto at 4 +4, and that guy has only got 3 assists, and that's it for the season. Like Connor McDavid's at a 0, Draisaitl's at a -1, and Nugent Hopkins -4, and then Puljujarvi and Bouchard at -11s. Like it's all great if you're just scoring points on power plays, but once you come against teams, and I know it's hard in this league to not give away penalties because of how the refereeing can be, but when they don't give you away a penalty, you're gonna lose 100% the way this team plays.
Well, and that's it. And all you have to do is sort of. I know it's a tough ask, Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. They're hell of a players, but if you can keep them from like you don't even have to keep them from scoring. They can score a goal. Because I can guarantee you right now, you're probably going to score 3 or more.
Yep.
Um, because I shared a stat with you earlier today where in their first 25 games they've played this season, they have conceded 3 or more goals 21 out of 25 of those games. So if you can shut those two players down,
Mm.
you're going a long way because you know you're going to score. You know you're going to get a couple of goals against these guys. They're definitely, and yes, we know their firepower is crazy, and they can definitely score goals. But if you can manage to shut them down, and we've seen a few teams do it this year where they go to McDavid, and yep, he might get a goal on you, but you shut down his influence and you shut down the rest of the team. He might score a goal because he's going to get a point pretty much every night. But 1 point when you're conceding 3 goals a game isn't going to win you the game.
Yeah, that
Um,
Darnell Nurse contract's really gonna. I don't think they're gonna win a cup ever. with that type of contract, with the way he's been playing, and honestly, with McDavid's contract, if they don't increase the salary, it's yeah, no, I can't rate him as a team. I think it's a one line 3v3 team basically. Like it looks
One
great.
trick pony.
They win the OTs, but fun fact: you go to playoffs, OTs aren't played 3v3. It's 5v5. So I feel like they'll fail no matter what. So that's where I have them anyway.
Yeah,
Anyway,
no, I agree. All
onto your
right,
pick.
on to pick 15, and it's a team that we've been saying all year they shouldn't be as low as they are. They should be making their way up, and they finally are. It's the Minnesota Wild.
Alrighty, I got them at 14. Finally in the top 16, +8 for me.
+7 for me. They've made big moves, and deservedly so. And I think they've won 5 of their last 6.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
just on
yeah,
ice, they're
5 of
playing
their
better.
last 6. They are, and um, I don't think they were playing terribly before. They just weren't getting the results, and they were just slipping up in a lot of games. And because they teetered at 500 for so long,
Mm,
but it just seemed to be every time they win a game, they'd lose a game. Um, but they're finally starting to sort of put back-to-back wins on the board, and yeah, we're seeing them start to move up the rankings.
yeah, finally in the top 16. It's where they should be. Happy to see it. I see it. I see them honestly continuing the streak. I don't see what should be holding them back. And like, yeah, I look forward to it for next week. For my
Yeah, for sure.
pick 13, I have another team doing the exact same thing. It's the Nashville Predators.
I was gonna say I don't even have to wait for you to say it. I know who you were picking there.
Yeah,
Um,
and
yeah,
another big jump. +7. They're looking really good. You beat New Jersey. Of course, you're going to move up. Uh, that it's not even just that they beat them; it's the games even outside of that. They just seem to be competing every week, and every game now, and it seems to be they've flipped something in in that locker room. They've done,
yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah, like I think there was a stat where they're ranked 27th on the power play or something at like 16% for the year, but over the last 10 games they're much higher, and I think they're at about 23% on the power play now. So, taking advantage of their special teams is a big one. They're really good on the penalty kill, which helps as well. So yeah, I think we all knew that they weren't as bad as where their rankings sort of showed in their position in the standings, but yeah, they're finally sort of starting to put it together, and it's good to see. Um, don't get me wrong, that game against the Devils, they 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 started off with a bang, then they sort of fell in a hole, and they finished with a bang. But that just proves that's all it takes sometimes is 10 minutes in the first and 2 minutes in the last, and you can win a game.
mm,
Um, but yeah, look, they're 7-2 over the last 9 games. They're heading in the right direction, and in a weak West, um, yeah, that's sometimes all it takes to get a playoff spot.
yep. All right, your pick.
All right, pick number 12, a team that started off the year strong, thrashed all the way down, and is finally picking themselves back up. Um, horrible news outside of this camp during the week with the
Yep,
news about Chris Letang.
his second one.
Really do wish him, all the best, and we hope that it's not serious and he can um, sort of. It sounds like he's going to make a full recovery and everything. We hope that it doesn't end his career, obviously, but at the end of the day, my biggest concern is his health. And I just hope if he doesn't play hockey again, that's fine. It is what it is. But I just hope for his sake, his health is all good. And there's no major sort of repercussions from his second stroke in his lifetime. Um,
For his health, I
just
actually
feel for
would
the guy.
like him to retire. I don't think it's this type of sport that you want to be because strokes are one of those things that they do damage and then you're more prone to have it. So
Yeah.
again, so I'd like him to just take it easy. You know, you won cups, you've done everything, but he's gonna do what he
And
does. But
he's supposed to be an absolute ripper of a bloke as well. So yeah, you never want to see that happen. And yeah, we wish him all the best.
yeah,
But yeah, aside from that, get off the sort of sad train a little bit, especially because they've been playing some ripper hockey lately. Um, so yeah, hopefully the Latang sort of news doesn't affect them too much. And they continue in the right direction.
yeah. One thing in regards to what was failing him start of the season to now is they're just not conceding as many goals as they were at the start of the season. You know, they're conceding 4, 5, 6, but now they're like 2, 3. And I think that's one big thing in regards to why they're starting to be more successful. On to
Who
my
knew, mate? Who knew, right? If you don't concede goals, you're more likely to win.
yeah, quick math. um, on to pick 11 for me. I have team just dropping out at the top 10. It's the New York Islanders.
Oh, wow. I thought I was being harsh with my movement of them, but
Yeah.
you make me feel better now because I felt real bad for putting them there, but it had to be done.
You lose against Philly, then you lose against Nashville. We just talked about Nashville about becoming better and everything, but you can't lose against Philly. I know it's a division rival, and they'll do that, but you need to get that win. Um, and honestly, I think you need to get the Nashville win to even be in the top 10. So that's why they've got them sliding. Yeah,
They
negative
they got caught up in Philadelphia's
aggro game.
Uh, aggro game, yeah. To start that game off with a fight, I feel like they gave in to Philadelphia from the get-go. I get you've got to stand up for what happened in the previous game, but I feel like you should be coming out and doing that in more of a physical,
Oh, I
aggressive,
think you should be
putting on
lining that
big
player
hits.
up and just nailing him legally on the ice. But
Exactly right. You should be putting on those big hits, but
mm,
a fight just gets their team involved up and about. It's sort of an even sort of because it was two fights in 10 seconds.
mm,
But if you put that big hit on the player instead, that doesn't get their team up and about. That gets your team up and about. I think the fight just sort of yeah, it sort of put Philly on that front foot of okay, they want to come, they want to play our game, so let's go. And it really did just let them down. But I still think they're playing good hockey. I still think they're in a good position, but it is really tough in this top 10.
yeah, it's a tough top 10.
Um,
So now you're number 10, starting the top 10.
all right, moving into the controversy. I feel like this is it's gonna be interesting, but
Yeah.
I couldn't move these guys up anymore, even though they have won 4 straight. It was just the the 10 games or 11 games prior to that where they lost 8 or 9 games. I just couldn't move them up anymore until I've seen more, but they're playing good hockey. Carolina Hurricanes.
Number 10, I have them at number 9, Carolina Hurricanes. Moving up one position for me. It's yeah, good hockey. A bit yo-yo-y in regards to the last few games, like been a little bit streaky. But one interesting stat, they've just having a look here, like lost 5 in OT, 10 regulation wins, and only 12 in OT. 12, 2 more in OT than 2 in shootout. So that's my concern with them. They're not getting as many wins as the other top 10 in regards to regulation wins. Winnipeg's the other one with a big discrepancy, which is higher than where
The
they are.
OT Kings.
Yeah, the
Yep.
OT Kings, but they're on a 4-game win streak. They seem to be playing their game, and it looks good. But I just want to see another week before I move them up because it's really tight. This honestly, from 3, 4 down, it's really tight.
Yeah, agreed. It was such a tough list doing. I didn't have too much trouble through the middle packs and stuff. I thought, they could have swapped 1 or 2 positions here or there and all the rest of that, but I was pretty content and happy there. But this one was huge. I was like, you could put any of them in any of those positions and argue a case for them.
Yep.
But Yeah. All
All
right.
right,
You're
starting
number 10.
starting my top 10. It's probably going to be more controversial than the Hurricanes. Got a team falling off a little bit. It's the Colorado Avalanche.
Whoa.
Minus
I
six
know.
for
I
me.
feel like
It's a big call.
it is a big call. I've dropped them as well. Not as far, but I have dropped them. Um, and they've dropped to number 8 for me.
Number eight,
It's
negative
just,
four. It's yeah, they just seem to be not the full Colorado that they were. Like
I
losing
mean, they are
5-0
pretty
against the Jets.
depleted.
Yeah, but losing 5-0 against the Jets, sure you outshoot by 17, but losing 5-0. You win against the Sabres. You should be winning that, but they do concede 4 goals, and then they get basically destroyed by Boston. But it's Boston. I just have them dropping more
Um,
because the other teams are not completely on how they're playing.
exactly. I get it's Boston, and Boston are on a tear, but I also feel like you've got to be competing.
Yeah, for
Tampa
a
Bay
top
lost
10
to
team.
Boston. Tampa Bay lost to Boston, but they lost. They were in it the whole game. Like, Boston didn't go ahead until the third period, and then they scored an empty net goal. They were in it for the whole game. Colorado, they got blown out of the water. Um, so it's yeah, it that one's the tough one for me because I just look at it and go, you need to be more competitive. I get that they are depleted as a team, but that game was over pretty much before the third period even started.
Yep. Alrighty, onto your pick.
All right, pick 9. A team that's, well, they haven't really. I don't think they've moved for me this week, but I kind of felt wrong for not putting them higher and not putting them lower. It's the Dallas Stars.
Oh wow, really? I got them at
Yeah,
number 6.
yeah. See,
I'm a bit higher on them than you are by the looks.
I rate them really highly. I think they're doing really, really good things this year, and they look good. But I almost put them ahead of Colorado. Potentially wish I had, but just some teams ahead of them, I think are doing a bit better than they are at the moment.
Yeah, I like the firepower they have in Robertson and whatnot, putting up some great numbers. They win both games this week against St. Louis and Anaheim. They only concede 1 goal between those 2 games and put up 9. Uh, I I think they're a powerhouse. I think they're going to keep yo-yoing between 4 and probably 8, maybe 10 because how close the top 10 is. But for now, I think they're just a bit stronger than the other teams. Though,
No, that's fair enough.
and this comes into the conversation of where I have Tampa as well later on.
Yeah, I think we're gonna really differ on the Tampa situation, but
Mm.
that's all right. It's what this is for. So, all right, moving on to your pick 8.
My pick A, I got a team just coming down a little bit as well with Colorado. It's the Winnipeg Jets.
Mm. Yeah, they don't move at all for me this week. I I teetered on where to put them. But yeah, I settled with just no movement at all, and yeah, I'm pretty content with that. They didn't perform out of this world. They didn't perform poorly, so I feel like a no movement's all right. But
I don't know.
you've moved them
They
down a few spots.
like they destroyed the Blackhawks 5-0 against Avalanche, but then they lose the game against the Blue Jackets, and it was 4-1 loss. It's where I kind of lost it there in regards to
Yeah,
the Jets. Statistically, it doesn't look as great as some of the other teams as well. Um, it's honestly flip flop between all these teams. Really, I could have had them 7, 6, whatever, but I had them at 5. I just feel like other teams are playing better on ice hockey at the moment.
it's fair enough. Yeah, the loss against Columbus did have me questioning whether or not I should drop them. But yeah, I just that win against Avalanche sort of gave them a bit of a cushion, I think. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but that's why
all right.
Avalanche also dropped a lot for me. So
Yeah.
that was the thing.
um, yeah. All right. Pick 7 for me. This is a big one. Big move. Big call. But I have to do it. They have really not been doing well. I expected this record coming in the next 2 weeks from them, not the 2 weeks they've just had. It's the Vegas Golden Knights.
Ooh. I actually still only have them dropping one at the moment. I got them at 4.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, sitting high on them, man. They're 5-5-1 in their last 11.
I'm sitting
Um,
high on them. I still like what Jack Eichel's doing, and all their firepower teams. Statistically looking great. I still like what I see on the ice every now and then. I think they've definitely dropped off from what they were doing. Um,
yeah.
but I I think they're going to turn it around.
I, I I don't personally. I think they could, um, but the coming 2 weeks was the period that I worried for them. I said it earlier in the year where the big test for me is when they get into this 2 week run where they play Boston, New York Rangers, Boston, Winnipeg, and New York Islanders. Um, Plus, they play Chicago and Philly as well. But they play five reasonably difficult teams there, even though the Rangers aren't exactly um, turning it on at the moment, they still play five reasonably difficult teams in the space of 2 weeks, which they haven't had to do all year. They have had a relatively soft draw, which kind of is what concerns me a little bit about their 5-5-1 record, um, is that they've lost against some teams they probably shouldn't. So yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens over the next 2 weeks. They're no doubt they've got a very good side and they're going to be a playoff team. But I think the next 2 weeks is really going to set them up for
Yep.
where they're going to go.
Yep. I agree. On to my number 7, a team that you have higher. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning.
We are just going to swap our 7 and 4, I think. Yeah, they're pick 4 for me.
Yeah, I'm not as high on them as other people are. They've been on a win streak and whatnot, like it was at 8-2. If
Yeah,
I have a look
eight
here, yeah,
wins in the last 10.
yeah, 8-2 and 10. My big one of my big gripes is their regulation wins as well. In regards to Winnipeg had 8 out of 14. Tampa has 10 out of 15. They're getting OT wins. It's kind of like Edmonton, where they're getting draws, but then they get that extra point because they just got better star power. And it's hard to rate those type of teams higher for me personally. The goal differential is only +9. Um, Looking at point percentage, I think they're like ninth as well in the standings. So I can't. I need to see a little bit more, honestly.
Oh, that's fair. And like we said, this, from 3 or 4 down to 10, they're all really, really good teams. They're clearly the top 10, 11 is probably the powerhouse of the league at the moment. So yeah, I mean, you could pretty much put Tampa Bay anywhere from 3 to 11 and make a case for it. But for me personally, I've got them a bit higher. I'm not minding the hockey I'm seeing from them at the moment. They're getting some good results. So yeah. But moving on to my pick number 5. They're there. They finally made it. And well deserved. They got absolutely destroyed today, but I really didn't want to take that away from them. They won 7 straight before today's game. So yeah, Seattle Kraken.
Yeah, that's where I got Seattle as well.
I just felt like they deserved it, man. They've been playing so well lately. The Kings game was a little bit of a shamble for me. I almost punished them for that game. Um, but 7 straight, their record's looking good. Their position on the standings is looking fantastic. Um, Barring a complete fall off of the face of the earth, they should be playing playoffs this year, which would be really fantastic to see in their second season. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
well deserved, I think.
two of the expansion teams in the top 10. Um,
Mm.
yeah, no, it's good. I love the hockey. I think it's probably one of the most consistent hockey besides Boston and New Jersey. I think they're probably third consistent in the league, maybe coming towards Tampa as well. But yeah, I can't praise them enough. It's going to be hard to hold 5 with this top 10, but we'll see how they keep going. Um,
Exactly.
On to my pick. I got pick number 3. It is the
And it
Toronto
had to
Maple
be.
Leafs, and I hate
It
it. Plus,
had to be though. It really did. It
yeah,
had to be. They've been on a tear.
yeah, they're tearing it up. I think they've been a little lucky with some games. I think they're starting to put 2, 3 periods together instead of just the one,
Yep.
and they were still getting the results with the one period. Um, as still, 6 OT losses,
Yeah.
14 regulation wins though, but 6 OT losses. So they're always in the game. They just haven't been sealing it in OT, and that's one of the difference. Honestly, it's surprising actually. You'd think a team with Toronto and their firepower, they would be probably winning
Good
all
in
those.
OT.
Yeah,
Yep.
but yeah,
Yeah. Look, they've been fantastic. Over the last 11 games, they've really turned it around. I know I joked about this to you earlier, but who knew the answer to Toronto's defense woes was just get all your top four defensemen injured, bring up AHL defensemen, and
hmm.
somehow you go on a tear and you start playing some good hockey. I don't know if it's sustainable with the defense that they've got, but it's definitely going to raise some questions about their top four.
Oh, it's it's
Um,
it's where I made a joke, but it's honestly not a joke. It's when defensemen play defense, that's what happens. Like you given a role, play that role. It's like Eric Carlson. He plays defense, but he plays forward. It's I don't like this whole puck moving defenseman thing about getting these offensive defensemen. I think it's completely overrated. Completely overrated. I'd give me Siegenthaler or Marino or just any shutdown D any day of the week.
yeah, I don't. I definitely think you need an offensive defenseman. Don't get me wrong, but I also feel like they need to be paired with a defensive defenseman. They need to be
They need.
paired with someone accountable,
I don't
and
think
they need to be
I don't
accountable
like offensive
themselves.
defenseman. I don't like it at all. You're a defenseman. You should either be defensive defense or you should be two way. There shouldn't be no such thing as offensive D, and that's just the
Yeah.
way I look at it. Um, you
You
sure
you've got to be accountable.
yeah, and that's the problem. Like that was my big gripe with Hamilton's game, um, and a lot of offensive defenseman games. And I understand why the kids play offensive D now because that's where the big contracts go, and that's how you get picked. But I I don't think that's a recipe for Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I definitely think a lot of those defensive defensemen sort of get underrated in the sense they're in the offensive defenseman shadows, where it's like if those defensive defensemen weren't there picking up the slack for these offensive defensemen, the offensive defenseman would probably be leaking goals like no tomorrow, which is exactly what someone like Eric Carlson's doing at the moment. He
Yep.
because he doesn't have anyone to sort of cover for him. Um, his defensive play gets taken advantage of. Yeah, he puts up a lot of points, of course, but he also
I
gets
think
conceded
I
on.
think if you're on 11 mil, you shouldn't be relying on someone else to cover for you.
No, exactly,
Straight up.
exactly, and that's it. Like you should be able to move the puck and do some of the things they do, but when it comes to defense, you need to get back, and that goes for forwards as well.
Yep.
These forwards that don't play defense at all and they have no accountability. I don't care how many points you're putting up on a season. If you can't get back and defend for your team, what are you doing?
Mm.
It's a recipe. It's a recipe for disaster.
Oh,
You just
it's meant to be
yeah.
the best players in the world. They should be able to play 200 foot. Again,
No,
a lot of them only
exactly.
can play
And
one third.
yeah, and you look at some of the teams that do have elite players that play two-way forward hockey, that they're winning cups. And it's because yeah, they can put up points and yeah, they're wicked on the offense, but they also jump in when they're needed defensively. They get down, they block shots, they get. I know a lot of people say you don't want your best players to block shots and do all the rest of that, but stuff that man, like I want to see those best players in the league being like leading by example, being
Yep,
like, well, why should the fourth liners be the only ones that get in and get down in the dirty areas?
I agree.
And yeah,
On to your number two, I believe.
all right. Well, said at the start, would we see a new number one this week? And the answer is no. It's
Wow.
straight up.
Speak for
Uh,
yourself because no.
it's the
Okay.
New Jersey Devils.
Yeah.
I just I can't like the Devils. They had a good week as well, but Boston are just Boston are on another level. They only had the two games this week, but they win both games really quite easily. The Tampa game was reasonable. Tampa took it to them, but what shows how good Boston are. They played Tampa and Colorado.
Yep.
If there was ever a week that they could drop games, it was this week, and they didn't.
Yep.
Um,
No,
but
I
yeah,
agree. I think Tampa's all season's been a little bit better than New Jersey. I think New Jersey are just falling off just a bit in regards to it because the level of game that Boston and New Jersey are playing at, you can't do it for 80. It's near impossible. Like how good they've been playing.
we
But I think
saw it against Nashville with the Devils. They sort of ran out of gas a little bit
yeah,
um, right at
and
the end there.
and you're gonna come against teams that their game plan just counters your game plan, even though they're a worse team. I understand that, but I think Boston's probably the most complete team. Bringing Krejci was great. Saka's been good. I watched him. I think it was this week. Just miss an absolute open net though. It was so open.
Huh. Look,
um,
as Devils fans, we've seen him do that many
yeah.
times. Don't
So
worry.
I was just like, ha, I've lived that. But Pasternak's been amazing. This is the year. Like they're all out on this year because signing Pasta and doing all the other stuff, it's going to be rough. New
Well, they've
Jersey.
got to. They
New,
have to.
Meanwhile, New Jersey are building a dynasty. They're probably going to be good for the next 5 to 10, and Toronto are trying to build that dynasty as well. So, uh, but I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take for Boston to fall out of number one. They're going to have to probably fall off the horse because even when they're struggling, they're still playing good hockey.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a sign of a good team, right? The Devils did that today. They weren't the better team against Philly, but they got the win.
Yeah,
Boston haven't been the best team every game. Most games, yes, but a couple of the games they've played, they haven't been the better team, but they've still got the results.
yeah.
And that's the makings of a good team,
Well,
is when you can be the worst team and win.
the other thing I just wanted to bring up was in regards to what they're doing for the fans. 14-0 at home, breaking
Hmm.
records in regards to the home stretch, and honestly, that's good for the owners bringing in the money because fans are going to be happy. They know they're going to get a win if they go to a home game. Um,
Yep.
they got plus 44 goal differential. The only one close is plus 36 for New Jersey, and I can't speak about. I think it's some of the best hockey I've ever seen, probably besides some of the Penguins era, where they win the cups. But yeah,
Yeah. Um, well, so Boston did well, they tied for the fastest 20 wins. Um, they tied with Chicago's 2012-2013 and Boston Bruins 1929 and 1930 team with 23 games to 20 wins. So New Jersey are on that list as well. They've somewhere like I don't know, eighth or something on that list. But yeah, it just shows you how good of a season both those teams are having.
mm.
Um,
Well,
to be at
it's a
20
shame
wins
New Jersey
already.
Devils' streak was ended by bad officiating because I think they would have went 15 or 17 games. Um,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, they would have broken their own record, that's for sure.
yeah, it would have been top five in the league of streaks. So, to,
Yep.
it's been a record-breaking season. I got Ovechkin breaking records. It's yeah,
Yeah.
records getting broken left and right.
Well, the Devils broke a record today, that their own record, obviously, but consecutive 11 consecutive wins on the road. is the best in franchise history. So yeah,
Yeah.
records being broken left, right, and center.
Thank you, Canadian
Good to see.
teams.
Yep.
Alrighty.
Oh,
I
jeez.
guess we can end it
All right.
there. You want to sign us out?
Yeah, too easy. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Like always, if you want to leave us a comment down below, um, can be about anything. Can be your power rankings. Can be just wanting to say hello. Whatever it is, we'll get back to you as soon as possible and hopefully have a chat. But yeah, if you like the video, give us the big thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy. We'll see you next week.
All right. Catch you guys.